My name is Tumen, and as Steve mentioned, I'm a principal scientist with a research engineering group at Bristol Myers Squibb. And yeah, I will talk about the JEDI program and how we're using, LabKey to accelerate exploratory correlative analysis for CAR T cell clinical trials by integrating clinical, manufacturing, and translational data. There we go. So yeah, let me briefly introduce our group and who we are. We are a technical team embedded in research, closely collaborating with IT and multiple research functions within R&D organization here at BMS. Our core team, JEDI team, has 5 members. Stefan Ponko, as many of you know, he's our scientific director who is overseeing the technical enablement and data engines, including JEDI data platform. Kevin is our project manager. I am the product owner of JEDI, and Manish is our data engineer, and Benjamin Sun, he's our system analyst. So we are quote unquote core JEDI team. We also have a close collaboration within our IT department for runtime support and infrastructure maintenance and support. Our stakeholders are different representatives from cell therapy, clinical biostats group, translational research group, and manufacturing science and technology groups. So they also act as a gatekeeper of the respective data domain for CAR T explorative analysis in LabKey. And our end users are mostly scientists and analysts in our informatics group. We are enabling the correlative and exploratory analysis for. So that's just a very brief introduction of who we are and what our group does. Okay. Bristol Myers Squibb's mission statement is to discover, develop, and deliver innovative medicines that help patients prevail over serious diseases. And our research engineering group's mission is to enable and accelerate scientific insights for patient benefit through collaborative development of innovative computation, data processing, data integration, and dissemination engines. So one of these dissemination and data integrative engines is JEDI, which is a part of research engineering group here. And some of our capabilities include providing data ecosystem for CAR T cell studies, data ingestion, data integration, and the data harmonization as well. Also, we enable exploratory and correlative analysis for QC, analytics, visualizations within R&D. Just want to highlight, we are highly technical team embedded in research, collaborating with, closely with IT and multiple research functions within R&D organization. Next slide. So yeah, let me introduce why we started this program. In CAR T therapies, as most of you know, patients are treated with their own genetically modified cells. So unlike traditional analysis for small molecules or biologics, it's very important to explore product characteristics and translational data in addition to the clinical outcomes. So patient biology and disease biology, they need to be really integrated in order to better understand safety and efficacy of the cell therapy product. Therefore, thus the importance of correlative analysis for patient benefits, really. And FDA asked Junior Therapeutics to terminate its phase 2 JCAR15 CAR T trials in patients with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or AKA ROCKET trial. This came in after Juno Therapeutics reported 3 patients' death back in 2016. So the culprit may have been the drug fludarabine that was recently introduced in the preconditioning regimen, along with its standard cyclophosphamide. So as a result, we needed to better understand the toxicities with this regimen and JCR15, and in short, patients were having neurotox and cytokine release syndrome, so we needed to better understand it. And at Juno Therapeutics, back then, we didn't have a good way to investigate, why patients were having these neurotox or, so therefore, the root cause analysis was performed. However, there are a number of challenges. These data often reside in separate functional silos within the organization. Therefore, it was very difficult for researchers to access and integrate the data. Some of the challenges include data governance, security and data structures, inconsistent or incompatible identifiers and links. So to address these challenges, we implemented a JEDI program. It's a research data platform for cell therapy data integration based on LabKey Server software. In JEDI platform, um, we integrate translational data from CAR-T clinical trials with multi-site manufacturing process, quality control, and the product characterization data, as well as clinical data from clinical data sources. As I mentioned, JEDI is a part of our larger data ecosystem that integrates clinical, manufacturing, and translational data for CAR-T correlative analysis. And JEDI program supports a wide variety of non-validated exploratory analysis use cases that combine these data. So for instance, we are enabling cross-study analysis, collaboration among teams and organizations. We also streamline workflow for data access and governance requests. And another example is we are providing a backup safety alert mechanism. And also we're building consistent and versioned, more of a ready for analysis data sets, therefore enabling reproducible research. So here's just our timeline of our journey with LabKey. As I mentioned, back in 2015, JCR15 trial started, and it was terminated in 2016. And then root cause analysis was complete. And in 2017, we selected LabKey software and implemented JEDI program. And then Juno Therapeutics was acquired by Celgene, and a year and later, Celgene was acquired by Bristol Myers Squibb. So throughout these acquisitions, JEDI program was expanding and continue integrating with various institution systems at Celgene and Bristol Myers Squibb. Another highlight I would like to mention is in 2020, Stefan did a really nice poster presentation on JEDI program at PEGS conference, a Protein Antibody Engineering Summit. And let's see. And we also finally migrated from on-prem to fully AWS infrastructure in 2020. And this month actually marks our 6-year mark. So JEDI is strong, and it's been exciting and rewarding journey with LabKey. JEDI platform was developed on the LabKey Server software. We are utilizing various LabKey modules to enable clinical trial study data management within the virtual folders or project folders. This platform integrates clinical, translational, and manufacturing data within these study folders within LabKey. And these study folders are based on subject ID, visit ID, and lot numbers. Some of the LabKey modules that we use, for instance, as you know, LabKey platform has a very robust study and dataset level group and role-based security model. It also has a compliance module to help us answer security and compliance related questions. Electronic data capture module is another great example. We use this module to replace the traditional paper process for collecting some manufacturing information at a few of our sites. We heavily utilize LabKey client libraries, namely because we are Python and R shop here. We heavily use Python and R API that LabKey provides. We also leverage LabKey's basic built-in chart and report types for analyzing and visualizing the data. For more advanced visualizing capabilities, we integrated LabKey with RStudio and Spotfire, and we're also utilizing LabKey's external data ODBC connection as well. So here's just a very high level of data flow and architecture diagram. On the left-hand side, clinical manufacturing and translation data are loaded from institution source systems and data repositories using Dockerized Python ETLs managed by Apache Airflow server, and also product characterization data that measure cytokine release or T cell phenotypes, other types of assay data also loaded from Institute Data Warehouse. Patient scheduling records are also loaded on a regular basis from Enterprise Data Warehouse. Let's see, and data from manufacturing sites that do not have LIMS system are manually entered by our MSAT team on a regular basis. So they use customized data entry templates to enter this data into LabKey. Architecture, just want to briefly mention the LabKey servers are deployed within our private subnet on the EC2 instance on AWS. There's a snapshot policy, takes the regular backups on the instances, elastic block storage. And then these snapshots may be used to instantiate failover instance in a secondary private subnet if necessary. And what else? Network traffic to primary or failover instances routed through the load balancer, and the primary and failover subnets are directly accessible from the BMS network that contain these several data stores. Let's see. The primary data storage for the application is a PostgreSQL RDS instance. Almost all of our clinical and translational manufacturing data are loaded into LabKey data structure stored in this Postgres database. However, there are some flat files, containing data that's not parsed into tabular format, such as images or PDF files. Those are actually directly loaded as a simple files to LabKey, which stores them on a mounted EFS, Elastic File Storage System. So this enables, highly scalable and reliable storage for files. And backup policies are in place for EFS and RDS, and RDS and EFS are both available for direct mounting to the failover instance in a secondary subnet if required. Let's see. So, to summarize, JEDI is a highly customized version of LabKey instance for R&D correlative analysis purposes here at BMS. Infrastructure is, as I mentioned, we migrated to AWS cloud-based infrastructure. We have a number of integrations done. For instance, LabKey is integrated with Spotfire, RStudio Workbench servers, Matoma. We're using Matoma to keep track of our website use and its visitors. And what else? Spotfire integration, that's for more advanced visualization tool. And then we embed these Spotfire dashboards directly within LabKey. as well. Our data engineers and scientists are heavily utilizing LabKey client APIs, namely Python and R. And we're also leveraging LabKey external connection using ODBC and JDBC drivers as well. And on the security and governance side, program, study, and dataset level security is commonly used for setting up folders in LabKey for our CAR-T studies. And we also integrated the user request and approval process with our IT help desk ServiceNow software. And also because we went through multiple acquisitions, we are actually using multiple LDAP servers for authenticating users in LabKey. So it's nice that LabKey supports multiple LDAP servers for authentication. We also customize writing our logs to AWS CloudWatch log streams, and then use Athena to query for any other questions. Our ETL pipelines, we started initially with file watchers, and then we slowly moved into LabKey built-in ETL as we expanded. And then eventually, in the last year or two, we switched over to Python-based data integration and data pipelines using LabKey client APIs. Let's see. The web dev client API, that also comes in very handy, especially when you're transferring some translational installation site analysis from S3 buckets to LabKey automatically via Python ingestion scripts. We also implemented various new features and customizations in collaboration with LabKey. For instance, we requested trace query dependency, audit log retention, and etc. And some of those features were actually released as a part of LabKey and benefited the larger community. We also have a weekly working meeting with our Bernie Lee, who's our BMS dedicated contact person, and during those meetings, we review progress and resolve any issues. And I have to say, these meetings have been very productive, and Bernie has been, great help. And thanks to Bernie for all of his effort and help. Let's see. So just a quick use case on how we're actually using LabKey on manufacturing landscape. So as I mentioned, a few of our manufacturing site, MSAT team operators used to enter approved and scanned batch records into Excel templates from manufacturing systems. And we developed these customized data entry templates using LabKey electronic data capture module to replace their current data capture process. And of course, we collaborated with MSAT teams, and they tested and provided, iterative feedback over multiple iterations. And then we revised these templates on timely manner to meet their needs. So these data templates are now being used for investigation purposes, performance improvement reporting, as well as continuous process verification. So this is a really great use of how we are using LabKey data capture module. The second use case is on translational side, specifically back-end safety alerting. With cell therapy products, there's potential risk associated, so routine patient safety monitorings are performed in whole blood post-infusion. So integrating the vectors can carry potential risk of insertional mutagenesis leading to oncogenesis. So therefore, FDA require monitoring for persistence of vector sequence or PVS testing and insertion site analysis for up to 15 years post-infusion of CAR-T products. So that's a very long time. In addition, test for presence of replicant competent lentivirus at specific time points in parent and follow-up protocols are required. So not only FDA guidance specifies testing at 6-month interval for first 5 years, then once a year for next 10 years or until the PVS is not detectable. So FDA has a very specific guideline for cell therapy products, and this is very tedious, repetitive, and yet necessary task, which is not well suited for a small team with many cell therapy studies. So it's really hard to keep up with this when there are over dozens of studies with thousands of subjects. So as a solution, we collaborated with our translational team, and we developed this automated email alerts in JEDI to monitor safety signals that trigger follow-up actions. So just give you an example, we ingest the necessary data required for the safety alerts, and set up the alerts in LabKey. And then when LabKey detects certain conditions are met, it would send an email alert to appropriate contacts, and then they take the necessary steps. For instance, they would take a look at the insertion site analysis report and do any follow-up actions. Furthermore, we take a step further. We aligned and harmonized the transgene data across all 16 cell therapy studies, and we built interactive Spotfire dashboard and integrated in LabKey. So this is a really cool use case on how we're using LabKey and how we're leveraging it in translational landscape. Finally, another use case on how JEDI is enabling cell therapy correlative research is we harmonized 15 clinical domains across 9 studies in JEDI. Oh, sorry, I think there's a global alert, testing alert, so that must be it at 2:20. Anyway, sorry. So we harmonized 9 studies in JEDI for generating comprehensive landscape of myeloma prior therapies and their effects on patients and clinical outcomes. Similarly, we also harmonized 15 studies in JEDI for generating similar comprehensive landscape for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma prior therapies and clinical outcomes. And we merged these each specific study clinical dataset domain into a common dataset domain. As a part of this, we had to overcome a number of challenges. For instance, not all data sets domains in the study have same number of fields. We needed to determine common fields for domain. Study visits are not consistent between studies, so we had to harmonize it. And all of this were done within LabKey. And this enables our cell therapy correlative research team to perform a number of findings, such as efficacy, predictive model of CAR-T efficacy, also helps us to identify patients at most risk for serious adverse event. And on the manufacturing side of things, it can be used to recommend patient selection criteria. And this also enables us building consistent and versioned and ready for analysis data sets, or AKA data as a product, therefore enabling reproducible research. So I'd like to take this moment, to thanks to all of the people who are involved in JEDI program here at Bristol Myers Squibb, and more specifically, thanks to LabKey, Bernie Lee, Adam, Matt, and John, and everybody who involved, customizing LabKey for our needs, and countless number of LabKey tickets I submit and my team submit. So thank you for your continued support. And at this point, I'll open the floor for any questions.